Two South Africans have been charged with premeditated murder after their arrest in Uniondale on Sunday, mere hours after a fatal shooting. Tracked down through CCTV footage and assistance from crime prevention agencies, their actions marked yet another dark chapter in Cape Town's criminal underworld. This story does not begin with gangsters. It begins with a pen, the one that signed the Group Areas Act during apartheid. This legislation, enforced in the 1950s and 60s, redrew Cape Town's map, forcibly removing thousands of colored families from areas like District 6. Torn from their homes, they were relocated to the barren Cape Flats, a place with no jobs, no opportunities, only sand, concrete, and despair. For young men growing up in the Cape Flats, gangs were not just an option. They were a means of survival. In the 1970s, older boys in neighborhoods like Mannenberg and Hanover Park welcomed newcomers with a simple offer: stick with us and you'll never go hungry. For those with no food at home, no father to guide them, and no future to dream of, the choice was clear. Gangs became their families and crime became their livelihood. What began as groups of boys looking out for each other quickly transformed into structured organizations with leaders, territories, and strict rules. Meanwhile, behind prison walls, a more disciplined and powerful criminal tradition was thriving. The numbers gangs. The 26s controlled money, the 27s enforced order, and the 28s used violence to maintain power. Born from a code that traced back to the legendary outlaw Nongoloza Matebula in the late 1800s, these gangs were more than criminals. They were a brotherhood with deep-rooted traditions. When former inmates returned to the Cape Flats, they brought the discipline of the numbers gangs with them, transforming street gangs into ruthless syndicates. Super gangs like the Americans and the Firm emerged, no longer just fighting over street corners, but controlling entire communities. Where the government failed, they became the law, providing protection, enforcing justice, and running extensive criminal enterprises. One man who had the police and politicians under his control was Mark Lifman. Mark Lifman walked around Cape Town like someone who knew all the secrets. He dressed in expensive suits, spoke with confidence, and looked like any successful businessman. He owned nightclub security companies and prime real estate across the city. But behind this image of wealth was something much darker. Pay for protection or risk being unprotected. That was the message nightclub owners would hear from Lifman's men. This was not just business, it was extortion disguised as security. What made Lifman even more powerful was not just his criminal empire, but his ability to avoid consequences when police cars arrived at his properties. They often left without making arrests. When he was taken to court on charges of money laundering and tax evasion, he walked out a free man almost every time. Police officers investigating him were suddenly transferred to other precincts. Witnesses changed their stories or disappeared. Important evidence vanished from police storage. It became clear that Lifman had not just bribed a few officers, he had influence over entire systems. Money flowed into the right hands, police stations leaked information directly to him, and the justice system seemed powerless against him. But even the most powerful criminals cannot escape forever. The morning of November 3rd, 2024, Garden Route Mall, George, Western Cape. The mall is bustling with early shoppers. Baristas serve steaming cups of coffee, and security guards patrol lazily. Mark Lifman, mid-60s, exuding confidence as he walks towards his sleek black Mercedes. He pockets his phone, unaware of the two figures lurking nearby. One adjusts a cap, Another clutches a duffel bag tightly. A black SUV pulls up and idles nearby. Inside, a driver taps the wheel nervously. The two assassins calmly cross the lot, positioning themselves behind a pillar. One reaches into the duffel bag and retrieves a silenced pistol. A deep breath. Lifman unlocks his car. The beep echoes in the air. As he reaches for the handle, bang, bang, bang. 3 precise shots to the chest. Lifman staggers, a look of shock, then collapses against the car. A pause. One assassin steps closer, delivers a final shot to the head. The sound is muted, but the impact is deafening. Shoppers scream. A woman drops her coffee. A security guard reaches for his radio. The black SUV peels out of the lot, tires screeching. Lifman's body slumps onto the pavement, blood pooling beneath him. The assassins jog to the waiting SUV, slipping inside smoothly. The driver shifts gears, speeding off towards the highway. In the distance, sirens wail. Police swarming the crime scene. A detective kneels beside Lifman's lifeless body, removing his sunglasses, exhaling slowly. Cape Town is becoming Africa's version of Mexico, where cartels grow stronger despite military crackdowns. Like in Mexico, corruption has weakened institutions, allowing crime to flourish. The government's reliance on force overlooks the root causes: poverty, unemployment, and hopelessness. Gangs do not just traffic drugs and weapons. They exploit entire industries, from construction and mining to human trafficking and extortion. The tragic truth is that this war is far from over. Cape Town's criminal networks are deeply entrenched, and no single approach will eradicate them. Military intervention provides temporary relief, but lasting change requires economic development, educational investment, and government reform. Only by addressing the fundamental reasons crime thrives can Cape Town hope to break free from the grip of its cartels.